Now let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Speaking of DeSantis, Florida AIDS Walk raises more than $2 million for 13 South Florida LGBTQ plus nonprofits. The 19th annual Florida AIDS Walk and Music Festival, held on Saturday at Fort Lauderdale Beach, proved to be a resounding success as it raised a staggering $2 million for 13 local HIV/AIDS nonprofit organizations. Hosted by AHF AIDS Healthcare Foundation in partnership with music festival entertainer Todrick Hall, the event attracted over 2,000 attendees and garnered significant support for crucial HIV/AIDS services in South Florida's community. Hall's involvement highlighted the event's mission to raise funds and awareness for HIV/AIDS services in the region. Tracy Jones, AHF Southern Bureau Chief, expressed gratitude for Hall's advocacy and emphasized the event's significance in addressing the devastating impact of HIV/AIDS in South Florida. The festival featured a 5K walk, concert, and informational booths on health and wellness services. Apart from family-focused activities and performances by singer-songwriter DJ Citizen Jane, iHeartRadio's Kimmy B served as the MC for the event, with iHeartRadio as the official radio partner. The event's beneficiaries, including organizations Afro Pride Florida, Aqua Foundation, Broward House, Equality Florida, Latino Salud, the Pride Center at Equality Park, Pride Lines, and SunServe, among others, will benefit from the funds raised to continue their vital work in the community. Florida ranks in the top 5 for new HIV diagnoses, with several cities grappling with high infection rates. Events like the Florida AIDS Walk and Music Festival and the former Smart Ride help combat the epidemic and support those impacted. Fundraising for the event continues through April 30th. So it appears that AHF Florida AIDS Walk will reach an all-time record in donations to LGBTQ plus charities and nonprofits. Wow, it was a great event. Of course, Pride Lines, the organization I represent, is a beneficiary. We walked, we had great support, but it was overall just a great day. We had great weather, although I think you got a tan there. Sorry, I had to point it out. But it was an overall great event. And when I think about this event, I think about the important work that we're all doing. You know, despite the misnomers, you know, the virus is still here. And the fact that Florida is leading. Yeah. You know, we're in ground zero basically in Florida. #1? We're #1 in the country, you know, Florida for a new and
woohoo! And Broward and Miami-Dade lead the pack on that.
Broward and Miami-Dade lead the pack, and then Liberty City, where Pride Line's just located, our main headquarters, is ground zero for it. You know, while it was a great event, we raised a lot of money for the organizations. You know, it's still a major issue, and I appreciate the awareness that was raised from the event, and the fact that the community came out to support it. It was a great event.
Right, and it's amazing to see the people on stage talking about HIV/AIDS, right? You know, Todrick Hall making a big speech about it, and even Eric Benet. Like Eric Benet, I didn't even, you know, I knew Eric Benet as the guy who cheated on Halle Berry. That was how I knew him until he got on stage, and then I was like, oh wow, he's amazing. But he even talked about his journey, you know, and people that he knew. It was just so important. Glenn, how does this wash over you? Smart Ride, you know, AIDS Walk, very similar. You know, the community that they're fighting for, that they're raising all this funds for, and just how much it entails to put something like this together. You know,
I am most impressed by the number of agencies that benefit from this, and for the fact that the community came out. You know, the money is important, but in many ways, the money is a side to the difference that awareness and it makes. 13 to 23-year-olds are at the highest risk of getting it. If you're a Black or Brown, Latino, you're at a much higher risk within those groups. And so when you look at our youth and stuff that are not getting the education in our schools, why are we #1? Look at the state that we're in. You know, where you can't say gay, where there's no GSAs after school anymore, or they're limited. You know, where is someone getting sex education? Even before DeSantis, it was all about abstinence in the schools. That's not the reality of life. And so when these folks are not being taught anything in the schools, and not being made self-aware, and are not living their true selves, you're bringing in a greater chance of people getting infected. And doing things like the AIDS Walk, or what will the new version of what Smart Ride will be, those are really important to get the word out, because even without the money, getting the word out at least gets people aware, and they can Google what they need to Google, hopefully learn something from friends, and these organizations are there to help. So I'm a huge fan of anything that's going to make a difference and continue the HIV awareness.
And something, I'm getting goosebumps because, like, I just remember turning around, right? Well, I was walking with SunServe and turning around and seeing everybody that I respect from every organization I respect, right? Seeing Pride Line, seeing Aqua Foundation, seeing Latino Salud, seeing SunServe, seeing, who else did I forget? Flock Fest, Trans Inclusive, Dolphin Dems, like if you just name a nonprofit that we're constantly talking about and fighting for, they were there with all their friends and family.
Right. And everyone's embracing and raising that level of awareness, which is so important.
Yeah.
Glenn, you bring up a great point, excellent point about the community and the fact that you have 13 agencies there. It's not similar to the Smart Ride, but the fact that you have 13 agencies collaborating, building a sense of community among the agencies as well. That's pretty powerful.
It is.
And our impact is pretty powerful in our communities.
Yeah.
It's great.
And it's great that in organizations we really care about.
Well, and you still have time to donate, so make sure that you go on over to AHF and you can still send in some money, okay?
Until April 30th.
Until April 30th.
And the big thing too about this is that, money raised up until $500,000 gets matched by AHF.
Dollar.
Not every organization is dollar for dollar.
Okay.
Bitter, but okay.
Bitter. Bitter, but hey, you learned it here first.
Exactly.